Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Pracharya Satar Sata Shishimari Divine Days Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Pracharya Satar Sata Shishimari Divine Days Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Das Thakur Ki Jai. Prantaraj Srimad Bhagvatam Ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Grantaraj Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 5. Vyasa Vacha Asti eva me sarvam idam vyartokam Asti eva me sarvam idam vyartokam Tatapi natma Paritustyatme Tan mulam avyartam agada bodham Pricham ayetvam bhavatma bhutam Please chant. Mataji's.
Vyasa Vacha Asti me sarvamidam tattum Tathapi natma paritushyate me Anmulam avyaktam agada bodham Gacchana hetvatum bhavatma bhutam
Word to word translation. Vyasa, Vyasa, Uvacha said, Asti, there is, Eva, certainly, Me, mine, Sarvam, all, Idam, this, Tvaya, by you, Uktam, uttered, Tatapi, and yet, Na, not, Atma, self, Paritushyate, does pacify, Me, unto me, that of which Malam, root, Avyaktam, undetected, Adrata Bodham, the man of unlimited knowledge, Pruchame, do inquire, Tva, unto you, Atma Bhava, self-born, Atma Bhutam, offspring. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Sri Vyasadeva said, all you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite all this, I am not pacified. I therefore question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction. For you are a man of unlimited knowledge, due to your being the offspring of one, Brahma, who is self-born, without mundane father or mother. Purport. In the material world, everyone is engrossed with the idea of identifying the body or the mind with the self. As such, all knowledge disseminated in the material world is related either with the body or with the mind, and that is the root cause of all despondencies. This is not always detected, even though one may be the greatest erudite scholar in materialistic knowledge. It is good, therefore, to approach a personality like Narada to solve the root cause of all despondencies. Why Narada should be approached is explained below. Text 6. My Lord, everything that is mysterious is known to you, because you worship the Creator and Destroyer of the material world, and the Maintainer of the spiritual world, the original personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. Purport. A person who is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord is the emblem of all knowledge. Such a devotee of the Lord in full perfection of devotional service is also perfect by the qualification of the personality of Godhead. As such, the eightfold perfections of mystic power, Astasiddhi, constitute very little of his godly opulence. A devotee like Narada can act wonderfully by his spiritual perfection, which every individual is trying to attain. Srila Narada is a 100% perfect living being, although not equal to the personality of Godhead. Text 7. Like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in the three worlds, and like the air, you can penetrate the internal region of everyone. As such, you are as good as the all-pervasive Supersoul. Please therefore find out the deficiency in me, despite my being absorbed in transcendence under disciplinary regulations and vows. Purport. The transcendental realization, pious activities, worshiping the deities, charity, mercifulness, non-violence, and studying the scriptures under strict disciplinary regulations are always helpful. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Dradamayam Dadati Svabadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shriuta Bhadramalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shah Shri Rupam Shajatam Sadhananandatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sajana Lata Shiva Shatranvitam Scho He Krishna Turna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Rupesha Rupeta Tranta Radha Tranta Namaste Tapta Tranchana Gaurandi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sudaya Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Tralpataru Vesha Drupa Sindhu Bevacha Paridanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavabhya Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasai Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'd like you to welcome you all to Srimad Bhagavatam class. And please give your blessings so I can speak something on Srimad Bhagavatam and purify my senses, body, mind and soul. In the text 5, Vyasadeva is taking the humble position, although he's somewhat, getting heavied out by the seniors, but he's taking that humble position. And in his first line, he's saying, all you have said about me is perfectly correct. He's accepting. We see the lady that she visited Haridas Thakur, Mayadevi, yeah. She came and came there again and again. And every time she came, she sat in front of Haridas Thakur and tried to mesmerize him by her features and everything. But Haridas Thakur, he just kept saying, okay, please you wait until I finish my rounds. He was in the cave chanting. And so much deep he was absorbed in the holy name. And he was just chanting. But he said to the Mataji, please you wait. And then I'll enjoy with you later. So she was listening, okay, yeah, I'll wait for him. And she kept on waiting, and then day would pass. So like that, she would come every day. And every day, same thing. She would tell him, again, please wait. Yeah, okay, I'll wait. So very humbly, she was still, unknowingly or knowingly, she was taking that humble stance and listening to this pure devotee. And what was the result? And the result was she became completely purified, and she also got the mercy of Haridas Thakur. And then she also started chanting, and she was like prostitute, well, very famous in that area. But still, she was she got the mercy of the pure devotees. So it's not just question of humility, but also humility with the eagerness. You have to be so eager to be humility, to be humble rather. And this we can see in I forget his name. Same sort of situation where, but this time it's the man that's running after that lady. Um I forget. She was a prostitute, and every day this fellow, he would come and see her every night. And then one day it was like so much raining and heavy storm, everything. And then he decided, yeah, I'll still go and see this prostitute. And so he went. I forget their names, both of them. But so he went. And he was getting so much water on him, and from the rain, and then he had to cross a river, and in the river he saw, oh, okay, it's river. How can I cross? And then he used the log. There was a log there, and then he went on the log, and then he just crossed the river. And then when he looked behind, he saw it was the dead body. So very dangerous. And then he was thinking, okay, yeah, still I must go. And then he's traveling, and then he reached there, and then he saw a very tall building. How can I climb up? She's living there. And then there was a rope. So he grabbed the rope and he started going up and up. And he looked back and he saw, oh, what's this? Some snake here, So much the lust can do to completely destroy your path from Krishna. But I mean, that wasn't his objective. He was just going to see this prostitute. Chintamani, is that her name? I don't know. Chintamani, okay, Chintamani, that's her name. So then, as he climbed up and then he saw her there, oh, okay, he was completely covered with the grease and all the sweat and so much rain on him and really smelly. And then she just said, yeah, you came so far in the rain and all this, and so what if you did the same thing, for Krishna? Just you determined so hard, all you give your life and soul, just to achieve the Krishna. And he was completely self-realized, completely the light bulb turned on. And then he went away, and then so he took that humble stance. As soon as she was speaking, then he was already in that humble situation, and then he was very eager to hear. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to understand, oh, what's she saying, I just came here to enjoy with her, and then she's telling me all these things. She's nonsense. Let's just do the business and go away. But he took that humble stance to listen very eagerly. And then what happened? He became pure devotee. So just by the eager humility, you get complete perfection. And perfection is what I'm pretty sure we're trying to attain, right? In Krishna consciousness, we're trying to get Krishna Prem. So it's good to be humble and eager. So this is first line is telling so much, this is what it means when each word is the nectar in the Bhagavatam. Each line is completely filled with Prabhupada's feelings and emotions. This is what it means, if you look deeper, and then you will see all the very heart-transforming aspects in the Bhagavatam. But you have to go deep. I mean, I was just reading and then I was thinking all this thing, okay, so many things you can view it by. So the Bhagavatam there is for complete shelter. Complete shelter, we get in this Bhagavatam, especially in this age of Kali, where it's getting worse and worse. Recently I saw one mother, she was pushing her baby in the pram, in the trolley. And then baby was so much crying. And then what she did, she put in trolley, and then I was there also. I was looking, and then she got one cover, and then it's attached to the trolley. She just completely closed, and then no sound was coming, and she just happily kept on pushing her trolley with the baby inside. And baby was crying so much inside, you know. So newer and newer technology is coming out, you know, for completely shunning away from Krishna. But this light of the Bhagavad, rather this Granth Srimad Bhagavatam is here for complete shelter. In Kali Yuga, you know, Krishna prescribes that we completely surrender when he says, you know, the Sarva Dharma Parityaja, you know, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vaja Ham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshaishyami Masucha. You know, it's very famous verse, but how much do we actually absorb it? That Krishna wants us to completely surrender and follow onto him. You know, it's a very common verse. But how much do we fully absorb it ourselves, you know? Krishna didn't just appear 5,000 years ago, you know. He's appearing every moment like that. So this is the Krishna Consciousness Society. You have to be conscious of Krishna. So we abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender on to him. This one here, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. So this will give you all shelter. Anyway, I drifted off, but just a reminder for myself. You know, this in the translation of text 5, and Prabhupada says, Vyasadeva is saying, I question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction. Now, this isn't like a challenging statement. I question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction. He's taking that humble stance and trying to understand, okay, why am I dissatisfied, you know? And he says, despite all this, I'm not pacified. So he's clearly revealing his mind to the pure sages, and that's in NOI also, Nectar of Instruction. Rupa Goswami says that, you know, dadadi pratyat granati duyam atyati prachati bhunkte bhujayate chaiva sadvidi priti lakshanam. That we offer and receive gifts, and we accept the charity of the gifts, and we reveal our minds, you know, in confidence. And the last one we all know, you know, to take the prasad and give prasad also. So this he's doing in the assembly of the sages, and he's inquiring. So this should be the mood that, you know, we associate with the devotees, not with the demons, and we reveal our minds to them so they can clarify, because the devotees will know much more in our situation than what we know ourselves, you know. We know so much things, but they can see a whole different situation because we're living our lives with them, with the devotees. We're not living with some demons, you know. Demons you can always cheat, because they have no idea about the spiritual things. But with the devotees, if you cheat, then Krishna will also slap back, you know. It's very... you can't play with the devotees. That's first offense is to do it like that, to blaspheme devotees who've dedicated their lives. So you can't play around with the devotees. But here in this situation, the Vyasadeva, he's taking this, again, the humble stance and asking, I'm not pacified, so I question you. So again, the whole translation is just a, you can say, personification of the humility, you know. He's taking this humble stance to try to understand, okay, what's happening with me? Why is it I'm feeling like this? this is not the correct thing. So like this, yeah, it's something to be learned and something to be practiced. In the material world, everyone is engrossed with the idea of identifying with themselves and mind and body. So it's material world, people have most people, they don't have any idea that it's material world. I mean, they don't have any idea about the spiritual knowledge, so they identify with the material circumstance, Okay, I think this is my body, this is my hat, this is my shoes, this is my this. So they identify because they don't have the spiritual knowledge. And I mean, they would really relish just how we are all relishing the spiritual life, they would also relish. But it's a material world, so, and they although in the whole creation it's 1/4 is material world and 3/4 is the spiritual world. So, but we're in material world, So we're not in our right situation, The devotees there belong to the Krishna, and they draw back home, back to Godhead. But all the karmis that don't get the opportunity, what will happen to them? They'll come back life after life. So it's our duty as devotees to share this knowledge that we're getting from Prabhupada, so they can also understand that, yeah, we don't belong to this material world, we don't need to identify with the body, mind and self. Otherwise, how can they do? Prabhupada is clearly saying everyone is engrossed. Engrossed means what? You're completely drowned in the ecstasy of ignorance, How will you get out? You can't get out. Unless you have superior knowledge. Unless devotee comes and by his merciful hand comes and pulls you out of the ocean, Krishna might be playing with his friends, all the gopas and gopis, whatever. But the devotees are so merciful, they stay in material world and they come and they give the knowledge, they share the knowledge. They give you the ecstasy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just for $10 a piece. So you can go and share the knowledge today. So this, when Prabhupada says this is the idea of the materialist, it means that is the situation. For the whole of Kali Yuga, it will be like this. People will identify themselves with body, mind and self. Body, mind as the self, rather. So just saying that, yeah, it's good to share this knowledge so they can get out of that situation. Anyway, so this is the root cause that Prabhupada is saying, that root cause of all dissatisfaction. So again, to get rid of this situation that people think they're the body, and Prabhupada is saying is that that's the root cause of all dissatisfaction, so you must share the knowledge so they can get out of that. If that's your heart, and you care about the living entities, then you do this activity of sharing. Because Prabhupada did that, right? He was in Vrindavan, very happy, chanting, dancing, seeing Krishna, seeing all the pure devotees, living with the pure devotees. So why did he have to come? He didn't have to come. He could have just stayed very simple and stayed in Vrindavan, chanting, dancing. There's so many kirtans there, there's so many devotees there, Radha Kun, Sham Kun, this Kun, that Tirtha. So he could be completely there. He was already retired from the family. But he went out of his merciful way just to write these books, just to give out the complete mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just we can't forget, it's Kali Yuga. So even Mahaprabhu, he himself did this and set the example. I forget the verse in Bhagavad Gita, like Yad Acharati Shreshtas, that the great souls, they set the example and for common man to follow, like this. And yeah, Narad Muni was being glorified, and I was just thinking that in the next verse, text 6, Prabhupada was saying that why Narad Muni should be approached as to solve these dissatisfaction. It will be explained in the next verses. So in these translations in the Prabhupada's, a person who is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord is emblem of all knowledge. So we see the example of the king, Ambrish Maharaj. He was king of whole world. He was king of whole world, and still, but what was he doing? He was in charge of all the different places across the world, and so many people were underneath him. But what he did, he just cleaned his temple, he walked to temple, he associated with the devotees, and like this he lived his whole life. And even he's a king, he has so many duties on his head. But he still got this opportunity, I'll take the privilege of this human form of life, and I'll completely engage my body, mind and senses just for service of Krishna. So when Prabhupada says like this, a person who is 10% engaged in the service of the Lord, he's not just saying for some knowledge so we can acquire more and more knowledge. He's trying to encourage us that, hey, wake up and do this also. You do this, you become like this. Why do you just acquire knowledge? But actually practice what we preach. Because it's in the books we read, and then we tell newcomers that, yeah, it's good, you come temple, mop the temple, do this, do that. But yourself, you have to also do. And then others will see that, okay, this is what it is, this is what the pure devotees are also doing, So Maharaj, Ambrish is example, and Prabhupada is saying like this, so he encourages us to also do, and we can become perfect. Such a devotee of the Lord is in full perfection of devotional service. So what more do we want, It's like full perfection is here if you completely engage your body, mind, senses, everything. What do you need else, That's you're absorbed in the Krishna Prem. And we don't need the eightfold mystic powers also, You can travel throughout the whole galaxy with these 8 mystic powers, and you can become small, big, fat, skinny, anything, You can change your forms, anything. You can grow past the layers in the material world, all the fire, ether, all the other 6 or 7, those things. You can pass all these layers and go off into the Brahmajyoti and travel there. But what will you do? If you're not dedicated your full body, mind and soul for Krishna, then what will you do with all these powers? Anyway, you're just going to die, and then you'll go to another world. So life is for the perfection, for the Krishna Prem. So this is the attainment that Prabhupada is saying. Full perfection of devotional service just means Krishna Prem. Such a devotee of the Lord in full perfection of the devotional service is also perfect by qualification of personality of Godhead. So you don't need any mystic powers for the attainment of Krishna Prem. A devotee like Narada can act wonderfully by his spiritual perfection. Again, we see, I'll end here soon. We see the example of the Narada Muni when he traveled. He wasn't traveling, Gopa Kumar. He was traveling in all the planetary systems, and then everywhere he was seeing Narada Muni, and what is this, And then he asked him 3 questions. The other 2, again, I forget. But one of the questions was, is the devotees of the Lord also omnipresent? Means like they can appear anywhere and however much time. He said yes, because of the mercy of the Lord. So like this, such a perfectionist in sense, you can see that the pure devotees also have these 8 mystic powers, but they don't use for their personal benefit. Rather, they use, if they want to use, just for the service of Krishna. And Srila Narada is 10% perfect living being. A devotee like Narada can act wonderfully by his spiritual perfection, which every individual is trying to attain. Everyone wants to be completely happy always and completely blissed out. That's what they're searching for in all the material activities, but they're never getting, and they think they're very happy. So, but this Krishna consciousness gift, if we give them, then they'll be completely satisfied, and they won't need to endeavor for anything else. So yeah, but yeah, if there's any questions or statements, please you can tell. Otherwise, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Yeah.